First of all, don't let anyone ever tell you that your dreams are not worth pursuing. Fall in love with yourself, where you don't need someone else's approval for you to pursue your mission, your dreams, your cause, right? So to me, unless you believe in yourself, there is no one else who's going to believe in you. So the day you fall in love with yourself is the day the world will fall in love with you. If you can't love yourself, why would someone else love you? And if you hate yourself, why won't the world hate you? So to me, the mindset is really simple. Everything can be solved with the spirit of entrepreneurship and with exponential technologies.
Hello and welcome back to another episode of the Thrive State Podcast. I am your host, Dr. V, triple board certified MD and performance and longevity expert. On today's podcast, we speak with a very inspirational gentleman. You will feel it. You will feel his passion. You'll feel his purpose in how he speaks. He has really come from rags to riches and giving us and giving you the secret to ignite your potential no matter where you are in your life. Now, before we get into the podcast, let me welcome everybody who is new to the podcast. Again, I'm Dr. V. Every week, I have the true honor and inspiration of interviewing the world's thought leaders in science and technology, from ancient wisdom to spiritual gurus, giving us a sense of how to make life and how to bend reality and how to bend our health, our relationships, our business to what we actually want them to be. And are we tapping into our potential? Today's podcast will be revealing how it is truly possible for us to continue to step into this future of greatness we are destined to have. If you haven't already, please do us a favor. If any of these podcasts have served you or served your friends and family members well, please subscribe to the podcast, give us a thumbs up, engage with us with the comments below, and please share this podcast with your friends and family members. What will also really help is giving us 5-star reviews wherever podcasts are heard. This is really going to allow the show to grow. Truly, truly grateful for that. And as a gift to all of you, if you haven't downloaded my free resources on performance and longevity, go to thrivestagestarter.com. And it's not too late to start auditing your life in the areas that will most shift your bioenergetic potential to shift you into the Thrive State by getting the toolkit at mythrivestate.com/toolkit. Now, on to today's conversation. This is a conversation I actually had in a summit that I was hosting called the Thrive State Summit. And in it, I got to interview world leaders in emotional and mental wellness. And today's guest is actually Naveen Jain. We'll go through his bio on the episode, but what I want you to know from him is he is someone that really came from humble beginnings, someone that went from an immigrant in India with nothing to creating the life that he has today. So wherever you might be in your life, if you happen to be struggling now, if there happens to be a story of why can't you just get ahead, or why isn't your dream life a reality yet, please listen to this. This will change your life. If you enjoyed this conversation and want to get more from the Thrive State Summit, as well as all my digital courses on the back end, go to mythrivestate.com/pro and use the word Thrive State 50 to receive 50% off. Ladies and gentlemen, this is going to be an exciting conversation. Please enjoy this conversation with myself and Naveen Jain. Welcome back to the Thrive State Summit, and yet again we have a very prominent name in the health and science space and an iconic entrepreneur I want to introduce you to. From a local boy to lunar visionary, Naveen Jain sees beyond the current business and technological space. As the founder of Viome Moon Express World Innovation Institute, Talent Life, Intelligence, and Infestation, Naveen intensely is a curious entrepreneur who focuses on the audacious ideas that will push humanity forward. He's the author of the award-winning book, Moonshots, Creating a World of Abundance, the creator of Mind Valley Masterclass programs, and Behind the X Prize, a global future positive movement, and on the board of Singularity University. A man who knows no limits and an icon propelled by his own imagination, Naveen pushes big dreams into actions, spurring massive cultural and technological change. His audacious vision and magnetic personality, you'll find out soon enough if you don't know him already, will continue to inspire others to follow what feels impossible. Naveen, thank you for being on the Thrive State Summit.
Well, first of all, Ken, what a pleasure to be with you. Every single time I have been with you, I feel energized by your energy. And I can tell you that type of introduction even makes the brown guy blush, which is not the easy thing to do.
I see a little bit of red in you. I'm just going to dive right into it. The people here really want the tools around mental health.
Yes.
And right now, as we are recording this, we've got a writer strike going on. We've got actor strike going on. We've got AI coming in, and people are fearing for their jobs. Mental health has become a prominent issue in a lot of Americans' minds. What would you say right now is driving a lot of the mental health issues, and what do you think people could do to face some of the uncertainty that's coming in now?
First of all, mental health is a massive epidemic. This is a crisis we as humanity must solve. It is no longer a problem for some people. You can argue that they are on drugs. Oh my God, these people just got their issues. We don't need to deal with them. It has become an absolute epidemic that we have to deal with today. So, what is really happening is there are two big things that are causing this epidemic to spread. One is continuous stress in our lives, right? So, in some sense, stress used to only happen when we were being chased by a tiger. And at that point, your body under stress goes into fight or flight response. And as you and I both know, under fight or flight response, all of the non-essential systems shut down. So your digestive system no longer needs to work. You're being chased by a tiger. You're going to be lunch for someone else. You don't need to worry about digesting your food, right? Same type of thing. Your immune system is not considered essential at that point. So it's primarily focused on now and present about can you fight whatever the stress is or can you run away from that stress. Now, that was really good. That stress is what got us to actually survive. The people who actually managed that stress, their gene pool continued. People who couldn't, they got wiped out of the gene pool. Unfortunately, in our modern society, we have a constant stress. You go to work and your boss stresses you out. You go home and there are people out there, their spouse stresses them out. And you have this constant stress in your life. Even the time when we're eating under fight or flight response, under stress. And if that happens, your food is not being digested. So no longer we are actually able to even digest the nutrition from our food. And a lot of the culture and religion somehow able to do these things and say, before you eat your food, do the gratitude, do the prayer. Why do we do that? Is to bring the body from the sympathetic response into parasympathetic response. So leave the fight or flights and get back into homeostasis. But it doesn't work. The second big thing really is our diet. And again, I want to emphasize here that food you eat impacts your gut microbiome. And the gut and a brain is connected through gut-brain axis via vagus nerve. Just because we call it vagus nerve, like Las Vegas, don't believe that what happens in the gut stays in the gut. What happens in the gut goes everywhere. In fact, there is so much research that clearly shows that mental health issues are the gut issues. So in fact, you can Google gut microbiome and depression, gut microbiome and addiction, gut microbiome and anxiety, and pick a subject you want. Parkinson's, Alzheimer, pick a name you want. All of those diseases, ADHD or OCD, these are all the diseases now being linked to our diet and gut microbiome. So much so that just this morning, there was a Nature paper that actually shows that how addiction is actually connected to the gut microbiome. And so not only they showed the microbiome and its activity causing addiction, they were able to show the causal by changing the gut microbiome through a fecal transplant on people who had alcohol addiction.
Wow.
And they did the fecal transplant on them and their alcohol addiction went away. I mean, that is mind-boggling that we as human hosts are really becoming a puppet to these puppet masters called microbiome. The 100 trillion of them that are on us, inside us. And they're not just in the gut. 39 trillion of these microbes live in our gut. Multi-trillions live in our mouth, in our ears, in our nose, in our eyes, and all over our body. These microbes are not a parasite on us. We co-evolve together as an ecosystem. What is really happening is when the ecosystem is working right, our body is into homeostasis, and that means your body is at ease. When there is a dysbiosis in the ecosystem, when our microbial ecosystem and our human host is no longer in homeostasis, goes into dysbiosis. And what does it do? Your body is no longer at ease. We call that dis-ease, and dis-ease is a disease. A disease is really that body balance has gone off. And I'll come back and describe to you a little bit more in detail what is that gut microbiome, how it works, and how it is connected to mental health, and how we can actually do something about it.
That's amazing. All this work stems from a new company. Well, not a new company. It's been out for nearly a decade now, of Viome, to be able to study the microbiome, see what its relation is to our physical health, but more importantly, what we can do with that information to improve our health. I want to get into that in a second. So you've launched this huge company, Viome. You've also been out into space, but you come from pretty humble beginnings. And I've seen the book, we've seen the book Moonshots, where we really talk about chasing these dreams. Many people who are listening right now might be in their job and feel like they're just a cog in the wheel. Some people already feel that way with their jobs being replaced by AI. Coming from your humble beginnings, how would you say you've developed that mindset and passion and drive to do more when so many people kind of feel stuck where they currently are?
First of all, don't let anyone ever tell you that your dreams are not worth pursuing. Fall in love with yourself, where you don't need someone else's approval for you to pursue your mission, your dreams, your cause, right? So to me, unless you believe in yourself, there is no one else who's going to believe in you. So the day you fall in love with yourself is the day the world will fall in love with you. If you can't love yourself, why would someone else love you? And if you hate yourself, why won't the world hate you? So to me, the mindset is really simple. Everything can be solved with the spirit of entrepreneurship and with exponential technologies. There has never been a better time in the human history where there is a convergence of technologies, where the sensors are becoming cheaper, better, faster, and smaller. AI is able to take massive amount of data and make sense of the data. And that is allowing the industries to be disrupted that could never be done, never be disrupted before. Half of the Fortune 500 companies won't be around in the next 10 to 15 years. That king is going to die. Who is going to be the new king? You are sitting in a place, but even if there are other companies who came before you, remember, the technology is moving at such a faster pace. That means someone who came before you is about to be disrupted because the new technologies are making it so much better, faster, cheaper. Now, the only way you can protect yourself, a creative moat around your business, is by collecting massive amount of data, by creating an ecosystem that everyone who is part of the ecosystem benefits from that ecosystem, right? So for example, at Viome, we have now analyzed over 600,000 samples. We have now over 750 trillion, let me repeat again, 750 trillion biological data points about the human body. And that has never been done before. With the massive amount of AI, we are able to predict, are you moving towards having a disease? Are you moving away from having a disease? Do you currently have a disease? We are able to diagnose stage 1 cancer in your mouth or throat with 95% specificity and 90% plus sensitivity. Just to give you an idea, a Grail test, the company that was sold for $10 billion, their sensitivity for stage 1 cancer is 24%. And what that means is if you have a cancer and Grail test tells you that you don't have a cancer, there is a 24% chance they are right. And there's 76% chance they're not right. And that's the problem. And we wanted to solve that problem. And there is a reason, by the way, why it works that way. The underlying technology that almost all other companies were using before Viome came along was using DNA. And the problem with even the companies like Grail that uses cell-free DNA is that DNA is not actually there is not enough DNA that is shelled out from a cancer in stage 1 until you get to stage 3 and stage 4, and then they're able to detect. What Viome does is very different, and we'll come back later in the thing segment to talk about that. We analyze your gene expression, your RNA, and guess what? That is right at the beginning. When your gene expression changes, that is when you start to see the onset of a chronic disease, whether it is a cancer or even aging. We can start to see when your body is starting to age, accelerate aging, right? So when you do a Viome test, and obviously, Dr. View, you have done that, it tells you your biological age. It tells you your immune health. It tells you your cognitive health. Now it gives you your cardiac health. It tells you your gut health, your oral health, and really tells you exactly what to do, what foods you should eat and why, what foods you should not eat and why. So there is no such thing as universal healthy food. It may be the avocado that you think is healthy, or eating avocado every day. It is harmful if you have high uric acid. Vitamin B3 can also be harmful if you have high uric acid. Same thing with turmeric. It can be really bad for you if you have high bile acid. Broccoli can be really bad for you if you have high sulfide production, right? So literally, it is not a food that's good or bad. It is it good for you or bad for you right now? And as your body changes, the food that were bad for you could become good for you, and the food that were good for you could become bad, depending on what is changing in your human body. And that is the key to solving mental health, is to solve your gut health and reduce the stress. And I'm going to come back and tell you about even living longer, how all these things get connected.
I hope you're enjoying the podcast so far. If you are, I just wanted to let you know, join our community. There's so many free resources and a great community of people that desire health, happiness, human potential, to have more in their life, more health, more energy. And when you have those two things together, you could create more happiness, more abundance, whether it be financial, romantic, all these things in your life. And if you're just starting out, you don't know where to go, just sign up for thrivestatestarter.com, because in there you're going to get a bundle of information that includes a longevity ebook, a longevity and performance resource guide, lecture notes that come from my keynotes at Google, at Fortune 500 companies, all the insights in that keynote in lecture slide form given to you. And then finally, breathwork. I share 3 powerful breathwork exercises to access calm, which really gives you clarity and peace during the day, to access energy if you need to wake up and really motivate yourself, and finally a breathwork routine that you could do every single morning so that you could be very intentional with how you create that day. You can find all this stuff delivered free to your inbox at thrivestatestarter.com. And our community is growing. If you want to be a part of a community of people that desire the Thrive State, that are really in Thrive State themselves, and help other people along with that, you could be a part of the community. You can get group coaching from me. We do breathwork sessions, meditation sessions, and you also get to drop in and participate in podcasts in the future. You could find more about the community at mythrivestate.com. That's mythrivestate.com. So check out those resources. You're not going to be disappointed. And please enjoy the remainder of this podcast.
Well, that's amazing stuff. And as we dive more almost mental health strategies, we talk about the belief. You talked about belief. We talk about how confidence plays a role in achieving success. And from what I'm gathering from you, potentially one of these methods of developing that self-confidence within yourself really sounds like just maybe taking the focus out of yourself and start focusing on helping other people however you can.
Love that.
You got that focus and you're actually able to help somebody. That confidence seems to skyrocket in you. That's what I just gathered from what you just talked about, seeing your passion for the work that you're doing in the microbiome space. Is that something that you would say is a key technique for developing that confidence that you have? What might be some other ones?
First of all, I want to repeat what you just said, because that is the key. Focus your life on helping others. In fact, if you want to create a massive enterprise as an entrepreneur, if you can find anything that improves the lives of 1 billion people live a better life, you can create $100 billion company. But you don't wake up in the morning and say, I want to create $100 billion company. What do I do? Making money is a byproduct of doing things that improve other people's life, period. And by the way, when you're focused on that, it also reduces your anxiety, reduces your stress in your body, and your body moves away from fight or flight response back into the homeostasis, moves from sympathetic mode to parasympathetic mode. So the more you do for others, the more you benefit yourself. Other trick that really is finding a purpose. People who live a life of purpose tend to not only live 10 to 15 years longer than the people who have no purpose, they also actually have less mental health issues. And the reason is very simple, is that when you wake up every day focused on a mission that makes other people's life better, that means find something that you're willing to die for and then spend every minute of your life living for it. So always look for and saying, what matters to me the most? If I had everything in my life that I want, whether it's $1 billion, some amazing family, once I have everything what I want, what would I do? And if you do that today, you can get everything that you want. So focus on your purpose, your mission. And I think I go even further. It is not even about having a passion. You need to be obsessed, truly obsessed. Passion is for hobbies. Passion is for losers. The true winners have obsession, not obsession for a thing, not obsession for a person, obsession to solve a problem that you care about. Once you develop that obsession to solve a problem, what happens is you go to sleep thinking about it. You jump out of the bed every morning wanting to think about it. So ask yourself every day when you wake up. I wake up at 4 a.m. every day. If you're not jumping out of the bed every day when you wake up, you should quit what you're doing that day and find a purpose that will make you jump out of the bed every day because you want to do that.
Okay, I'm going to nail you more on this, only because I know probably the majority of the world don't jump out of the bed with this strong desire. So the question is, they might be saying, you know what, Naveen is probably one of the few. He might just be born with this always being passionate about solving problems, and he wakes up that way. For people who don't feel that way now and are struggling to think, oh my God, how do I even find that thing to do that? What's your answer to them?
Very simple. It is surround yourself with people who are going to uplift you. Surround yourself with people who believe in you. Surround yourself with people who are going to push you to do bigger things. And when you tell them you want to do something, they don't say you can't do it. They tell you, let me help you to do that. So don't be surrounding yourself with cockroaches who are saying, oh my God, you're leaving the bucket, I'm going to pull you down. You want to be surrounding yourself people who are constantly pulling you up and say, let me help you get there. So you become an average of the people that you surround yourself with. So who are you surrounding yourself with? Are these the people who believe in you, or these are the people who are going to pull you down? You know, you're going to always have naysayers. Yeah. All my life, people will say, oh, you can't do that. You can't even speak a proper English. You are a brown guy. Go become an engineer. You're not going to be able to be an entrepreneur. You come from poor background. That is not for you. It is only for rich and privileged people. They get to do out and do that. And I look at them and saying, I know there is nothing that can stop me from achieving. I look at the moon exactly the same way than the richest person in this world. They don't look at that moon any differently. I am no different than anyone else. In fact, even my mom, who would used to always tell me that you can do anything you want, sky is the limit. Little that she knew that sky doesn't exist. Sky is a figment of our imagination. We create these artificial boundaries called sky. Until we get there, there is no sky. You don't go from here to Mars and say, Mom, I just passed the sky. There is no sky, right? Ultimately, what ends up happening is every one of these hurdles we create, these glass walls or glass ceilings we create for ourselves, are all in our mind. The day we believe we can achieve anything, the only thing that we can't achieve is something you can't imagine.
Wow. Well, I just want to break that down. I mean, it goes really back down to one, true belief. Two, if you're feeling potentially in a rut, really surrounding yourself with a community that thinks differently. I could speak for everybody. Before I was an anybody, I went up to Naveen at a conference one day and say, "Hey, Naveen, would you mind being on my podcast?" And he said yes. This was about 5 years ago, before the platform grew to what it is. But the right people that have a heart of service generally are open armed with other people who desire to make themselves better for the betterment of other people. You mentioned one thing, and I know that this is one of the topics as we poll the people in the mental health space that they deal with, is imposter syndrome
Hmm?
or the self-doubt.
Yeah.
You seem to have this unwavering belief of self-doubt. Every time I go on stage, particularly in front of a lot of people, I start to get nervous. I know for me, one of my focuses is what we just shared about, is not putting the focus on me of how I perform, but how my message can resonate and help other people. Is that one of your strategies as well, is just really kind of shifting that focus away from yourself? How do you start to quiet down the imposter syndrome and knowing your clan and your group of people?
Yeah.
I will probably say, when I interview some of the major people that people know of, they still sense that, but they're able to make that shift. Would you say that this is something that even the most successful people go through? And what are some strategies that people are able to quiet that part down?
It really is about redefining what that means. So every idea that you have may or may not work, because every idea that does not work is simply an experimentation to know what to do next. So every idea that does not work becomes a stepping stone to a different idea and a bigger idea. You only fail in life when you give up. Everything else is simply an experimentation. I think Thomas Edison said it the best. He said, I did not fail 1,000 times. As a matter of fact, I learned the 1,000 ways the light bulb does not work, and that allowed me to find the one that actually does work. So think of everything you do in your life is simply an experimentation. It's not a reflection of you being not good. You simply say, hey, I'm going to do this experiment. And whatever the outcome of that experiment will tell me the next step. Whether the experiment fails or succeeds, it gives me the next thing to do. And that's how you constantly are experimenting. Now I know that's not the right lane, you need to go here. That's not a failed experiment. That's an experiment that's giving you the direction for the next thing to do, right? And that's how you're always looking at life, that this is not a reflection of yourself. Second thing is, I remember when I was young, I would go up on a stage and completely freeze because I didn't know what to say. I had this complete brain fog and I froze. And one day I realized, oh my God, just like you said, it doesn't matter. I am here to serve and have a message that can help other people. And it doesn't matter whether, what they think of me, as long as the message that I deliver is going to benefit them. And a lot of the times I also start to say, look, I'm going to go up there and I'm going to have fun doing what I do. I am the best in what I do. And I'm going to give it with the energy and the thing that I know they need from me. And guess what happens? It is not even what you say. It's not even the words you use. People want to see you believe in something, because that energy goes to them and they say, I feel good. I want to be part of that mission. I want to help this person succeed because he is focused on me being succeeding. And God knows, Dr. View, how many times people have come to me and said, let me help you achieve your mission because I know you truly believe in it. So amazing things happen when you are not asking a help for yourself. You're
Yeah.
asking a help to say, how can I help more people? I need people to make people be aware of what we are doing. And I remember meeting you first time. And to me, it was, oh my God. I mean, I can go through the thing. And he said, we're going to have a skit with a poop. And, honestly, the thing was, I saw this amazing energy, the amazing desire in you, Dr. View, to make a difference. And you started out saying, you know what, Naveen, I need help to actually spread the word about how the gut health and nutrition is so important in people's lives. And would you help me? And I was thinking, oh my God, I'm so privileged that I'm able to do something for someone, because guess what? So many people in my life uplifted me. As you know, I came to United States 40 plus years ago with $5 in my pocket. The whole society embraced me, gave me what I have today. And God has been so kind to us. And I believe I am a trustee of his kindness. And I will no longer be a trustee if I'm not doing the work that he or she expects me to do. That means God makes you a trustee and believes in you. When you stop doing things that are good for his children, that means our fellow humans,
Yeah.
it finds a new trustee and takes away that kindness and gives it to someone else. And then we said, oh my God, why me? The why me is very simple, because you were not doing things that benefit the fellow humans. And if you keep doing the things that benefit fellow humans, the God will pour more and more of his kindness on you so you can continue to do your work.
Oh, so good. So much of this, as you were saying all that, I've done more research in a part of our brain called the default mode network. And when we're focusing on ourselves, when we're focusing on our self-doubt, our inadequacies, and when we get into these mental health issues, we're really focusing on this. What we're really telling our body is that we're not safe. And what happens is you then drive the cell danger response, which, as we know, increases inflammatory markers in our body, because a saber-toothed tiger, that's what we're telling our body, is about to nab us. And you're right. Who needs an immune system to protect us against viruses or cancer when you're about to be, something's lunch? And so you turn those things on. But a very powerful thing happens when you start to help other people. There's something that happens in your nervous system. You're basically telling your body that you are safe, that you are loved, and that you are enough. And then all of a sudden, the stress hormones come down, the inflammatory markers come down. And so shifting that focus, I think, so important when you
Partly that, brother, and partly is the nutrition and a diet, because don't underestimate. So I created this hierarchy of needs, just like Maslow's hierarchy of needs. There are 5 hierarchy of needs we have to stay healthier and longer. The the first thing, minimum basic, is the proper nutrition. Because if you don't have a proper nutrition, nothing else matters. And here is why. If you can be a beautiful Ferrari, and if you don't put a right fuel in it, it's just not going to drive well. So the first thing is, make sure you are eating well, what is right for your body, providing the complete nutrition. That means eating the foods that are good for you, and don't following the fad diet. And I think, Dr. View, you and I have talked about it. These fad diets are not good for you in a long term. So people who go on a keto diet are actually, interestingly, we published a paper that shows people on a keto diet age faster than their chronological age, 3 to 5 years faster than their chronological age, right? In fact, I have seen people on a long-term keto diet, their mental health get completely destroyed because hormones are destroyed. Your cellular health is destroyed because they just don't eat any carbs. And carbs is what makes every one of our cells. It's all glycans. The glycans are all over our cells. Without the carbohydrate, our body can't function. All of these things that you do, you can't do that. And by the way, a lot of people think they are eating healthy, but they're not. As you and I talked about, there is no such thing as universal healthy food. Other thing that I realized, that I think, Dr. View, that you know, is Our food is no longer as nutrition dense as it used to be even 50 years ago. So things that used to have needed one avocado, now you need 20 of them to get the same nutrition, because the way we are growing our food no longer is nutrition dense. So we can't get enough nutrition from food alone. So now you need to get these lot of food extracts and supplements with you. So what we do is, when you do a Viome test, we can tell you, hey, in addition to these foods you need, avoid these foods. And by the way, you do need 22 milligram of elderberry every day. Take 29 milligram of lycopene, which comes from tomatoes. Take 89 milligram of blueberry extract. Take these 87 milligram of amylase. So we go through every vitamin, mineral, herbs, food extract, digestive enzymes, amino acid, peptides, probiotics, and prebiotics. And we custom make these nutrients for each individual. There is no pre-made stuff. 8 billion people, 8 billion formulas, all uniquely made for each individual every single month. And that's number one. Once you've done that, the second step in the hierarchy of needs is stress management. You got to get rid of the stress, the mindset change, serving others, reducing the stress that's causing it. If your work is causing you stress, go find something else to do. If your spouse is causing you stress, you know what to do.
I'm not sure if many people have the tools, but we do have speakers here in this summit that talks about some of those relationship steps and how to move forward. So let me just ask you this. We were sitting here, I was waiting for you. You've got tons of meetings, and I know you got tons of meetings after this. How does somebody as busy as you, with such a big mission, with so many people asking to do needs, how do you provide the self-care for yourself? What does that self-care routine look like?
Honestly, to me, my self-care routine is very simple. I wake up every day at 4 a.m. I focus on learning and intellectual curiosity. I spend the first 2 hours of my day just reading. I read all the research paper, and I don't care if it's in the fusion, it's about multiverse, or it is about physics. I read everything because I want to know everything that's happening in this world, because that allows me to connect the dots together. Second thing is, I read at least 3 or 4 books every month. Right. So I am just constantly soaking knowledge. That is my self-care, because I believe the day you stop learning is the day you start dying. In life, you have to constantly learn and move forward intellectually, emotionally, spiritually. And as an entrepreneur, I don't get hung up on, is it something good is happening or something bad is happening? And this I want to describe on an Eastern philosophy. I believe universe is my friend. That means everything that's happening is for my good. When something happens, I don't say it's good or bad. I say it is what it is. And the reason is, something that looks really, really bad today, a decade from now, we're going to look back at this and say, that was the best thing that ever happened. And you and I probably know all the stories from the Chinese and Indian side, the things that looked really bad at that time that turned out to be the best thing that happened to you, right?
Right.
So, and the third thing to look at the stuff is, even when something happens in your life that you feel is terrible, just remember that's part of being alive. That means you are actually have a heartbeat. What does it look like? It goes up and down and up and down. When it is smooth, you're dead. So when you're looking for a life that's a smooth life, what are you asking for? You're asking to live a life of a dead person. Right? When you focus on these heartbeats that goes up and down, that tells you you're alive. When you are at the bottom of the beat, just remember, hunker down and know the next beat is going to be up. And when you're on top of the beat, never become too arrogant, because always remember, winter is coming and winter shall come. And that's what method is, that stay humble, because humility is a sign of success. Your success will never be measured by how much money you have in the bank. It will only be measured by how many lives you actually improved in your life. And always know that when you are humble, your self-worth will come from what you create, not what you own. So the more things you're creating for others, more your self-worth is. And it's not about, I inherited a lot of wealth, somehow I have a lot of self-worth. To me, you're still a parasite on society. If you take all that money you inherited and you're not doing anything, as far as I'm concerned, you're nobody and you're nothing but a parasite.
Wow. Naveen Jain, I think you really, with your tools, your techniques, and the technology that you have out there right now, is really providing such a great tool for mental health in the future. I thank you for being on the summit. Naveen Jain, thanks for being on the Thrive State Summit.
Thank you very much, Dr. We really enjoyed it and looking forward to the next time.
I hope you enjoy that episode of the Thrive State podcast. And if you're finding that this content is really helping you and your family members, please consider supporting our mission and our cause of elevating health, happiness, and human potential for people all over the world. You can do so by making sure that you subscribe to this podcast, sharing it with your friends and family members, and leaving us a 5-star review wherever podcasts are heard. All these things are going to really help elevate the show and to give us the resources to continue to bring more content just like this to yourself as well as the people that you love. If you haven't already, you might want to consider joining our community. We actually have a community where people get to engage with me in group sessions where we do breathwork, meditation, where we do challenges together, really to be able to get us access to health, happiness, human potential, so that we could have longevity and performance in our life as well. You can check out our community at mythrivestate.com. That's mythrivestate.com. And if you haven't already, pick up a copy of my book, Thrive State. It really gives you all the tools, the pillars that you need to create a blueprint to control the energetics of your life. Who are you? How you show up in the world? The choices that you consistently make create an energy in your body, and you can control this. And when you can control that, you also control the messages you give to your DNA that gives you access, again, to optimal health, longevity, and peak performance. And let me also just share a free gift to you. If you haven't already, please pick up my longevity and performance bundle where I share lecture notes, ebooks, breathwork exercises, and longevity and performance resources at thrivestatestarter.com. Thank you so much for being a part of this community. Thank you for helping us grow. Remember always, my friends, that you are your best medicine.